y'all, welcome back. My name is Sarah and I love to talk about movies. And today I'm going to admit something to you all. I enjoy the rebel princess films. I do. They are very dear to my inner child. I blame Megara from Hercules. Today we're going to talk about Damsel. And it's only shown on Netflix, FYI. So the movie starts with the king and some knights in a cave looking for a monster. In the next scenes, you see barren landscape. It's like wintertime. All of the trees or whatever was growing there is cut down for miles around. It's just flat. And you see a young woman cutting firewood out there. And it turns out as she's coming back into the castle, that she is the princess and she's giving away firewood. As she's coming in, she sees someone leaving wearing like beautiful finery, and her father is very excited. Lord Bayford, he says that the proposal has been accepted, and that's when Elodie and her younger sister Floria find out the king received an offer of marriage from one of the wealthiest kingdoms in the south. He accepted on behalf of his oldest daughter, Elodie. So Elodie agrees to the marriage, and her younger sister Floria, her stepmother, and her father all travel to the south together to meet with Queen Isabelle and her son and, future husband, Prince Henry. In their travel, it gets warmer, and they come upon the kingdom, which has these enormous statues that lead into the kingdom, statues of dragons ready to light their way into the kingdom. It's lush, fruitful there, and everyone seems happy and well-dressed. Her and her family are welcomed into the kingdom. She meets the prince for the first time. So Lady Bayford goes to speak to Queen Isabelle. The conversation sort of sets Lady Bayford on edge, and she reaches out to Elodie to let her know that nothing has happened, nothing is set in stone. If you decide to change your mind, we will respect that. She was very candid. She relays those fears to her husband later on, and her husband is firm in his decision to support the marriage. The next day, wedding preparations. It's beautiful. There are flowers everywhere and everyone is smiling and happy. She has a beautiful new dress. She's so elegant and poised as she goes through the marriage ceremony. As her and her husband leave, he shares with her that there's a special separate ceremony conducted by his family and that they are heading there now. So instead of going like on their honeymoon as is tradition, they have the ceremony set up that is far up into the mountains away from the kingdom. His mother is there, the queen. His family is there. There are some witnesses there. They go up and into a cave that sits right inside of the mountain. There's a bridge from the outside of the mountain that leads into a small cave on the inside of the mountain. The queen conducts the ceremony in which her and her husband are blood-bound together, and Elodie is thrown off of the bridge to fall down into the base of the mountain. She survives the fall and begins her travels through the mountain only to discover that she's not alone. There's a dragon inside the mountain hunting her, stalking her. So she learns as she's down there that she's been sacrificed to this dragon. So Elodie is in a fight for her life. In her quest, realizes certain dark secrets. Some of those secrets are revealed to the dragon. Her and Elodie, so they come to an understanding, and Elodie escapes the mountain with the dragon and go down into the kingdom, where Elodie and the dragon both get revenge upon the royal family. The last scene is of Elodie and Floria and her stepmother leaving the kingdom with the dragon. And that's how the film ends, with her flying by their side as they sail back up north. Okay, so right away I knew this was not going to be the one. That's the other way I could put that right now. Because the scenes that they open the story with don't make any sense at all. The organization of events made it very hard to follow the story and messed with the continuity of the story, because the opening scene that we see is when the king and his knights sneak into the mountain to kill the hatchlings with no intention of getting out, because I don't understand how you think you could do that. When they were found out, having struck this bargain with the dragon to offer up a member of their royal family in sacrifice to make up for this, that doesn't make any sense at all. Everybody should have got. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you are a dragon and you understand how rare dragons are, how easy it is for human beings to create other human beings, so the equilibrium was not equilibrium. So I didn't like that, because it made the dragon seem like she is just not smart, because that's a wicked offer, but it still is not an equal exchange to me. And I could see that right away. So I was like, okay. And I was wondering for a long time during the movie what that scene was, because they cut out so much of it that it was very confusing what they did and why we kept flashing back to that. Because we didn't see the whole scene, it was kind of confusing as to why it was important until later on in the film, when Elodie comes up upon the remains and all of that. So the organization of events was very confusing for a really long time throughout the film, because it was hard to figure out where we were, because so many of the flashbacks happen in the cave and Elodie is in the cave. So certain things that are happening, is it happening now? Because there are scenes where Elodie's father is coming to the rescue and he has a guide and he has a couple of men with him and they're going to rescue her. And it's like, it seems to be mimicking the past. Elodie goes through a lot. Her journey through the mountain was very, very difficult. It required all of whatever skills that she had as, the daughter of a modest lord, and the help of the ghost princesses that were trapped there. Why did we need that? We didn't need that. I mean, it would be very different if she managed to see a family tree that had paintings on it that showed all of these prior princesses or something like that. But seeing their spirits where they were at different points inside the mountain was so sad and made me think if their spirits are trapped there. It's just confusing. It would be very different if we just had their names and the observations that they made and Elodie kind of figuring out it for herself by herself. It's a whole other thing to show all of these princesses maimed, begging for help, begging for their parents. That's really dark and begs the question, are there spirits trapped there? Which creates a whole other kind of thing. Shoray, I think is how you pronounce her name. She's the voice actress for the dragon. She has one of the most recognizable voices in film, to me. Right up there with James Earl Jones. That lady's voice is iconic and one of the best creative choices that they made for this film. The special effects were great. I did like the design of the dragon. I like the design of the mountain, the sparkly bits. There were such great details everywhere, like the chain inside of her dress that had whatever bit of resin or perfume. That's a real thing that they used to do back then. So that, the lady always had, really, I think it was to keep bugs away, but also that she had a scent, an aroma, a noticeable scent as a signature. As soon as I saw Elodie out there chopping wood, I was like, this is not believable at all. This is not believable at all. They cut down all the other trees or whatever was out there for miles. It's flat, it's barren. They emphasize that over and over again. They don't have no money. They don't have any goods to sell. Why would there even be anything for her to like salvage? And why is she the one out there doing it? That didn't make any sense. Her wearing acrylics, these were in every single scene, okay? And every single one, I wondered when one of them, we would have to make them not be there. You're telling me that a princess who's out there chopping wood, whose subjects are leaving because there's no prospects there, has glossy, shiny, manicured, long nails. Long, because they're noticeable. Special effects, makeup and costume, they do amazing things all the time with hair and makeup to make things seem more believable or more authentic. And in this film, they did a interesting mix and mash of cultures in terms of the style that seemed to combine several iconic time periods, you know, but more vibrant, more colorful. The boning and the corset and the style of the rings, or the style of the headpieces, and like the prince and his costume, and then the queen and her dress, and flashbacks of other princesses and their dresses. I like the mix of cultures to create these different costumes and the designs of different locations and the decor and details in certain locations. So I did like the costume and that design. But her acrylics and her smoky eye bothered me so very much. She should be totally barefaced. Y'all giving her this glam smoky eye and these French tip acrylics was doing way too much. So yeah, there were some continuity issues with the storyline. The organization could have used some work. Not enough character development for like Lord and Lady Bayford. They're just Lord and Lady Bayford. And, you know, Floria is just the younger sister, you know, bubbly, naive. And then there's Elodie, who is clever, hardworking, and wants the best for her people and her kingdom. And you feel sympathy for her going through this because it's horrible. It's terrible. You know, and Queen Isabelle is the villain that she is. You know, they did this. Her family did this for generations. She is defending it. She is defending the fact that they did this. Prince Henry has no spine, so he's really just the shadow of a prince. So I did not get enough character development from anybody to feel just like mild sympathy for Elodie and curious about whether or not she would survive the situation, because it didn't seem like she should have. It was stuff like everybody just gave up when her and that dragon showed up at the castle. Everybody was just like, oh well, it's a wrap, you know, no excuses, no begging for their lives, or, you know, offering. It was just like, oh well, the dragon's here, so I guess it's over. Did the townspeople know? That is a key detail. It would be difficult for them not to know, but Queen Isabelle is crazy, and if she wanted to keep what happens in the castle stays in the castle, then I absolutely believe that. I just had a lot of practical questions that went unanswered, and they started it. Like, the story starts it but doesn't finish it. I guess we don't need those answers because, you know, technically Elodie's, because she was married to the prince when they were all, you know, fire blazed, so she's the sole benefactor of the entire kingdom, so she own it. She is a princess. I give Damsel a 2 out of 5. I'd recommend it if you like dragons and to see kingdoms getting fire blazed and, you know, beautiful gowns, but it didn't give me enough, and I was expecting so much. Calling it Damsel, like, hey, we're going against the grain, the damsel in distress, but, you know, her coming out with cropped hair and the equivalent of a medieval mini dress was not enough for me. But please let me know what you guys think. Thank you all for spending your time here with me. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time.